Hi folks, HR Funk here with my Kel-Tec second generation sub 2000, and mounted to it is the subject of today's video. This is a Cyelee T10X Pro. This is a red dot optic with multiple user selectable reticle options, and in this video we're going to take a close-up look at it here in the shop. We'll do some endurance testing with it, we'll head off to the range and see how it performs, and in the end I'll tell you what I think about it, and you can decide if it might be right for your own personal pistol caliber carbine or anything else you might want to mount it on. So here we go. And here is our first up-close look at the Cyelee T10X Pro. And to save a little bit of time today, I decided to dispense with the usual unboxing portion of this video, but I did want to show you the accessories that come along with this optic when you purchase it. Along with the T10X Pro in the box, you get a lens cleaning cloth, one CR2032 battery, you get lens covers, which actually come on the optic, an instruction sheet, a Torx wrench, and a low mount for the optic for other firearms that might require it. The body of the T10X Pro is made from aircraft grade aluminum, and the mount that comes installed when you purchase this optic is a see-through style, so depending upon the mechanical sights on your firearm, you might be able to use that with those in order to have auxiliary sights or an auxiliary sighting method, but the sights on my sub 2000 are a little bit too high for that, so I'm not going to be able to use it, but you may well be able to use it on your firearm. According to Cyelee, the T10X Pro is fog resistant, shock proof, and waterproof, and can be submerged to a depth of 6 feet. Also, this optic, once again according to them, has been tested to work in excess of 10,000 rounds of firing, so that's pretty impressive. It operates on one CR2032 battery and has a battery life on a medium setting of up to 50,000 hours, so that's also pretty impressive. Here you can see the windage and elevation adjustment turrets for the T10X Pro. These turrets are graduated in 1/2 minute of angle increments, and something that's nice is the fact that there is a small projection, and let me focus this, that you can see right there on the removable cap. That fits into the slot that you can see here in the turret itself, and once again I have to get some focus changed there. So you don't need a tool of any sort in order to make your windage or elevation corrections. You can just use the turret cap. Marked inside, it also has the directions for up and right, so you don't have to guess which direction you're going. You can actually just look down at that as you're turning and click away with those 1/2 minute of angle increments. Here we can also see the two top-mounted control buttons for the T10X Pro, the plus button in front and minus button in the rear. To turn the optic on, simply press and hold either the plus button or the minus button for 1 second and release, and that will turn it on or turn it off. Also, these buttons are used to increase and decrease the brightness of the reticle. To increase the brightness, press and release the plus button. To decrease the brightness, press and release the minus button. There are 10 brightness settings for the T10X Pro, the first 2 of which are night vision compatible, and the other 8 are for normal lighting conditions. The T10X Pro also features Cyelee's motion deactivated standby, which most of us call shake awake. If the sight has been turned on but it senses no movement for a period of 5 minutes, it will sleep and the reticle will disappear, but as soon as it senses any movement, it instantly turns back on. Now I always have to emphasize that is only if the sight has been turned on and has been motionless for 5 minutes or more. If you physically turn the sight off by pressing and holding either the plus button or the minus button for 1 second, as I said before, and the sight has been powered down, it will not wake up when you move it. So it's only when it has been turned on and then sets motionless for at least 5 minutes. Here's a look at the reticle of the T10X Pro, and as always I have to say, when you're looking through the optic, the reticle looks much, much better than it does when you see it on the camera image. In any case, the default reticle for this optic is the 32 minute of angle circle around the 2 minute of angle dot, and when I press and hold the plus button for longer than 3 seconds, I can toggle through the other reticle options, which are the 2 minute of angle dot all by itself, the 32-minute of angle circle by itself. And then we're back to the circle dot combination. The T10X Pro has a limited lifetime warranty from Cyelee, and it sells on their website for $149.99, but if you're interested in purchasing a T10X Pro for yourself, before you go to their website, go to my website, which is hrfunk.com, go to the product information page, and down at the bottom of that page you'll find a link to Cyelee, and there's some information right beside that link, actually right below it, that will save you 20% on your purchase of one of these optics. And that's going to do it for the up-close look at the T10X Pro here in the shop. Now let's head out to the range and we'll take a look at the 50-yard zeroing of this optic. Here we go, folks. I just finished zeroing the Cyelee T10X Pro at a distance of 50 yards. I'm going to put 5 shots on target. Then, as we work our way through the rest of the tests in this video, we'll see if the zero stays consistent. I'm going to be aiming at the center of the target's fist, so I have a good aiming point to fire these shots. There's 5 shots downrange. Let's go see where they hit. So with the zeroing process complete, the next stop for the T10X Pro is the freezer. As we start the endurance testing, I'll leave it in there for 24 hours or so. Unless I forget about it, then maybe it'll be in there until sometime next year. I'll check back on it tomorrow and we'll see how it's doing. Well, folks, it's been almost exactly 24 hours since I put the sub 2000 in here with the T10X Pro. I put it in about noon yesterday, and it's just about noon again today, and it's still working just fine, and this is very cold to hold on to. So you can see the frost forming on there after having just come out of the freezer, and I'm about to do probably the worst thing you could do and put this into a bucket of hot water. It is submerged. That water is too hot for me to actually put my hand in right now. So I'm going to leave it in there at least until the frost stops forming on the sub 2000. In fact, I think I'll leave it in there until the sub 2000 thaws out. Then we'll pull it out and see how the sight is doing. The T10X Pro has been in the water now for a little over an hour. In fact, about an hour and 4 minutes. I've been drowning it. And the sub 2000 actually feels warm now. The water is still pretty warm to the touch. That gives you an idea of how hot it was an hour ago. I could not put my hand in there. Now I can put my hand in, and it's still nice and warm. Let's see how the sight is doing. And when we pull it out and look at it, it is still working. How about that? That's pretty darn impressive, folks. See if I can get a better focus there for you. Nah, that's probably not going to. Maybe that's a little better right there. So I tried to freeze it to death overnight. That didn't work. I tried to drown it for over an hour. I went right from the freezer to extremely hot water, and so far the T10X Pro hasn't even blinked. So at this point in the testing, I was feeling pretty good about the T10X Pro's resistance to cold temperatures, its fog resistance, and also its waterproof characteristics. Now I wanted to test the shockproof qualities of this optic to see how it would do when subjected to some sort of impacts. And here I ran into a problem because I really did not want to subject my sub 2000 to drops on the ground, drops onto concrete and such, but I wanted to subject this to some sort of shock. So I decided to just do that by shooting the sub 2000 and subjecting the T10X Pro to the recoil impulse of the sub 2000 with 40 Smith & Wesson ammunition. The sub 2000 has a straight blowback system, so it has a fairly stiff recoil spring. It also has a very heavy bolt and bolt carrier, so both the recoil impulse and the counter recoil impulse is a little bit more than you might expect for a pistol caliber carbine, and I thought that's going to be good enough to test the T10X Pro. So I went out to the range and shot it. I ran 75 rounds of ammunition through the sub 2000 under the optic just to subject it to some of that shock from the recoil. Now, before anyone starts yelling at me and telling me you wanted to see a 1000 round burn down, melt down, break down, beat down, hoe down, whatever, I'm paying for this ammunition. If you want to send me 1,000 rounds of 40 Smith & Wesson ammunition, I'll be glad to cycle it through the sub 2000 under this optic. Go to my website, hrfunk.com, contact me there, and I'll give you shipping information. For everyone else, yes, I ran 75 rounds of ammunition through the sub 2000, and the day that I went to the range was miserable. It was raining, it was nasty, so I could not put my camera equipment out, and I really wouldn't want to subject you to watching me just shoot 75 rounds of ammunition through this firearm anyway. So I got a little bit of footage. I'll flash that up here so you can see what it looked like while I was shooting, and you're not going to see the target view because the rain was falling out there and I couldn't put my camera out to actually capture the image on the target. So after all this, I went back over to the rifle range. Now I was on a different range this day, so it's going to look different from the range footage that you saw when I was zeroing this optic. But it went back to the rifle range and I got everything set up while I was under the cover of the range, or the range roof, if you will. I waited till the rain backed off and I ran down range. I got my target put up, I got the camera set up, ran back down range, got set up on the bench. I was shooting from the bench this time, and I'm firing 5 rounds once again to see if the T10X Pro is maintaining its zero after everything I've subjected it to at this point. Let's go back and you can see how this went. And here's the target you were just looking at in that range footage. The shots that I fired this time around are marked with the red stickers. The shots that I fired during the first time out when I initially zeroed the optic are marked with the green stickers here. So we might see a little bit of a shift in zero up and to the left, but I was also shooting from a different position this time around, so my eye was positioned a little bit differently behind the optic. That could account for this as well. In any case, shooting at 50 yards with the sub 2000, which is not exactly a precision firearm to begin with, I'm not seeing anything in this that's causing me any concern whatsoever. I have one shot that tried to wander off to the left here, but it still stayed within the milk bottle inside shape of the target here. So for my purposes, with that firearm, with this optic, I'm not concerned about this at all. So there you go, folks. That's going to do it for my review of the Cyelee T10X Pro. If you have any questions or comments about this video, as always, make sure you forward those to me. If you're interested in purchasing one of these optics, be sure to go by my website, hrfunk.com, go to the product information page, find the link to Cyelee, and right there along with it, you're going to find some information that'll save you some money on this purchase. See you next time, folks. And until then, good shooting. Bye-bye.